Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Sunday, July 23rd, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Sunday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the San Diego Padres taking on the Detroit Tigers. Joe Musgrove going for San Diego. No official starter for the Tigers right now. And Joe Musgrove's in great form right now. Overall, 9-2 record with a 3.16 ERA. He's at a 2.83 ERA away from Petco Park and on the road this season. And, his last 5 starts, 2 earned runs or fewer in all 5 of those games. The Padres are 4-1 in those starts, and he's had 6+ strikeouts in all 4 of those games as well. He's facing a Tigers team offensively against right-handed pitchers, 29th in baseball in the last month in team OPS, 26th in isolated power, a 25.5% strikeout rate, so not good numbers at all. I think Musgrove pitches really well in this game, maybe 6-7 good innings. The Detroit Tigers could be going with a bullpen game in this one. Don't really love their options there. I think San Diego wins this game on the road, so give me the money line with San Diego. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Cincinnati Reds. No official starter for Arizona. We should see Luke Weaver going for the Reds. I'm leaning towards the over in this game. We'll have to see who the official starter will be for Arizona. They could go with a bullpen game as well. But, Luke Weaver, he's really struggled this season in general, 7.22 ERA, but an even steeper ERA at Great American Ballpark, 32 innings, an 8.44 ERA, 11 home runs allowed. We know throughout his career he's had issues giving up the long ball and his control's been off. So, I don't really love this spot for him against a tough Arizona lineup. But the D-backs bullpen, not really a great matchup for them against a good Reds lineup as well. So I think we see a similar game to the first game of this series, a high-scoring battle. Give me the over here in Diamondbacks-Reds. The Kansas City Royals taking on the New York Yankees. Jordan Lyles and Luis Severino are your starters. I know the Royals' win-loss record when Jordan Lyles is on the mound is not good at all, but there are some signs of improvement in Jordan Lyles' game. So far in the month of July, through his first 2 starts, a sub-1 ERA. Even before that, he was making some improvements in his game. He finally got his first win against the Tampa Bay Rays not too long ago, and he's going deeper into ball games, a lot more efficient on the mound. He's facing a Yankees team that offensively against right-handed pitching in the last month has not been very good at all. So I do actually think this is a decent matchup for Jordan Lyles. And Luis Severino, even though it was a bounce-back outing in his last start, he has struggled before that. His ERA is steep on the season. The Yankees have not won a lot of his games either. So for me, the value's on the underdog in this game. I'm going to take the 1.5 runs with the Kansas City Royals, sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well at Yankee Stadium. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the Washington Nationals. No official lineup for this game, so we could see a pitching change, but right now I'm seeing Anthony DeSclafani and Mackenzie Gore as the listed starters. And Mackenzie Gore is not in the best of form right now, but he does have a much better matchup here than he's had in the previous outings. Facing San Francisco here, the Giants overall in 2023 and in the last month have not been great against lefties. In the last 30 days, San Francisco is dead last in baseball in team OPS and WRC plus against southpaws, and they're 26th in isolated power. So I don't love the matchup here for San Francisco offensively, and they've really struggled, both against lefties and righties on offense in the last couple of weeks. But when you look at Anthony DeSclafani, he faced this Nationals lineup more towards the beginning of the season. He really struggled in that game. It was a loss for San Francisco at Oracle Park. 10 base hits, 5 earned runs allowed pretty much early, right away in that game. It almost looked like DeSclafani was tipping his pitches, so maybe not going to be as bad of an outing here, but still, I think there's value with the Washington Nationals at home here. I like the Nationals in this spot getting the 1.5 runs, and I'll sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well. In our next game, it's the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Aaron Nola going for Philadelphia. No official starter for Cleveland right now. I don't think this is going to be a perfect outing for Aaron Nola. This is a tough matchup. Guardians against righties, as of late, they don't strike out much. They get on base, good OPS numbers. And Nola, his ERA is pretty steep on the road at 4.99, but I still think having Nola on the mound does give the Phillies the upper hand in this game. He's very efficient on the mound. He's gone 6+ innings in 4 of his last 5. The Phillies are 3-1 in his last 4 starts. His control's been great. He hasn't walked a single guy, and he's only had 1 walk allowed his last 3 starts combined. So I still think Nola is a good option for Philadelphia. The Phillies have a very good bullpen behind them, a strong lineup as well. And the Guardians bullpen, which is still one of the better bullpens on paper, in the last month or so, not the best. It's struggling a little bit. And we saw in the first game of this series, Gavin Williams was only able to go 4 innings because his control was way off. Very high pitch count early in that game. And the Guardians had used a lot of relievers in Game 1. They used 5 relievers in that first game of this series. That usually can have a domino effect for the rest of the series. And I do think Cleveland struggles. If this is a bullpen game, I really don't love their chances. So give me the Philadelphia Phillies on the money line on the road. Next up, we go to Tropicana Field as the Orioles take on the Rays. We're going to see Tyler Wells and Taj Bradley on the mound in this one. Now, I don't want to overreact too much to one start for both, their last starts for both of these starting pitchers, but Tyler Wells really struggled against the Dodgers, going only 2 innings, giving up 6 base hits and 5 earned runs in a 10-3 Orioles loss. And the Orioles are 1-4 in his last 5 outings, while Taj Bradley, even though the Rays went on to lose the game, had a really nice bounce-back outing against the Rangers. 5 innings, 2 runs, and 9 strikeouts, missing a lot of bats against a very good Rangers lineup in his last game. The Orioles' numbers as of late have not been great against right-handed pitching or really against left-handed pitching in terms of team OPS, isolated power. And we saw Taj Bradley face these Orioles back on June 21st. It was actually against Tyler Wells, and it was a 7-2 Rays win. Bradley goes 6 innings, 1 run, only 3 base hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts. Wells gives up 2 home runs in that game, and he's given up a lot of home runs recently, including another home run last game against the Dodgers. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Rays in this spot with Taj Bradley on the bump on the money line. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Chicago Cubs. Jordan Montgomery for St. Louis, no official starter for the Cubs. Now, both of these bullpens, they were used very heavily in the game on Saturday afternoon, and I do think that gives the upper hand to a team like St. Louis, who has Jordan Montgomery going, who's been in good form. His last 5 starts going 6 or more innings in 4 of those 5, earning strikeouts, not giving up a lot of sharp contact, not giving up a lot of base runners in general, and the Cardinals are 4-1 in his last 5 outings. The Chicago Cubs bullpen hasn't been great in the last 30 days. They had to use more of a bullpen game on Saturday because Drew Smyly really struggled. So even though Miles Michaelis was not good at all, at least he went 5 innings for St. Louis. Some big innings for the Cardinals. It sets them up pretty well for this game, in my opinion. So I'm going to take the St. Louis Cardinals on the money line on the road. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the Miami Marlins. No official starter for Colorado. We should see Jesus Luzardo going for the Fish. Now, I know the Rockies were able to get to a lefty in the first game of this series in Mr. Braxton Garrett. They scored, 5-6 runs early, and they won that game. The Marlins got shut out. But Jesus Luzardo, another lefty. The Rockies have not hit lefties too well overall in 2023. Offensively on the road, they've also not been great. And, Luzardo's pitched really well at Lone Depot Park. So I'm willing to go back here with Miami laying the 1.5 runs on the run line. Luzardo, 2.43 ERA in 66 2/3 innings at Lone Depot Park. He's got 81 strikeouts, only 5 home runs allowed. I think he pitches well in this game. I think the bats are going to be able to back him up against this Rockies bullpen. So a lean for me with the Marlins on the run line, laying those 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Bryce Elder and Julio Teheran are your starters. Give me the over in this game. We see a very steep total, I think, for good reason. Even though the Brewers' numbers against righties have not been great in the last month, this is still a team that hits righties better than lefties. And Bryce Elder, he is regressing in a big way. In his last 2 starts against the Diamondbacks and the Rays, 6 innings combined, 13 base hits, 14 total runs, 12 of those were earned, and 3 home runs with 5 walks to go with it in a 10-4 and 16-13 Braves loss. So not only is Elder struggling, but the Braves bullpen has not been great as of late either. On the other side, you got Julio Teheran, he's regressing quite a bit himself. His last 3 games, 7 earned runs, 6 earned runs, 4 earned runs. And he's facing a Braves team that's number 1 in baseball by far. I keep mentioning it, but it's still the case against righties and team OPS, isolated power, WRC plus, WOBA, you name it, with a low strikeout rate to go with it. Give me the over here in Atlanta, Milwaukee. Next up, it's the Chicago White Sox taking on the Minnesota Twins. Lucas Giolito and Bailey Ober are your starters. I don't love backing Giolito in the White Sox when Giolito is on the road. He's got a 5.74 ERA away from guaranteed rate field, and his last start was on the road against the New York Mets. He goes 3 2/3, 8 earned runs, and 3 home runs with 5 walks allowed in that game. His control's been off, 8 walks allowed his last 2 starts. The Twins have really good numbers against righties as of late, really good power numbers as well. And Bailey Ober, he's been Mr. Consistent for the Twins. A lot of quality starts. He's very efficient. He doesn't really walk a lot of guys. He throws a lot of strikes, so he's able to go deeper into ball games. His strikeout numbers have been there recently. I like his chances in this one. Give me the Minnesota Twins here on the run line, laying those 1.5 runs. You can take the money line as well if you'd like. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Texas Rangers. Emmett Sheehan and Martin Perez are your starters. Give me the over in this game. We saw a very high-scoring game in the first one of this series. I think we see a similar score in this one. Martin Perez at the beginning of the season, he really pitched well at Globe Life Field and just struggled on the road. Now he's struggling everywhere. His last 2 starts were at home at Globe Life Field against the Astros and the Guardians. He goes, a combined 6 1/3 innings, 9 earned runs, 11 base hits, 4 homers, which is not what you want to see if you're a pitch to contact guy, and 6 walks as well. So his control's off, giving up sharp contact. He faces a Dodgers team that crushes lefties. They're a very patient lineup. They don't strike out much. They've got good power numbers. So I think the Dodgers get to Martin Perez and this Rangers bullpen. On the other side, Emmett Sheehan, I'm not sure he's MLB ready right now. I see a lot of potential in his game. He's got really good velocity on his fastball, but he's not really able to locate that fastball great right now, usually missing up and outside the zone. If the Rangers are patient here, they should be able to get a lot of opportunities with hitter-friendly counts, 3-0, 3-1 counts. And we've seen that last couple of games for the Orioles and the Pirates. They've taken advantage of those counts. And in his last 8 2/3 innings for Emmett Sheehan, he's given up 9 base hits, 9 earned runs, 2 home runs, and 7 walks. So a lot of walks in those 2 games, a 9-7 and 6-4 final score in those 2 games. Give me the over here in Los Angeles, Texas. Next up, we see the Houston Astros taking on the Oakland Athletics. We're going to see Luis Medina going for Oakland and Hunter Brown going for the Astros. The Astros are huge favorites in this game. I don't want to take them on the money line at minus 250. Don't want to take them on the run line laying negative odds, but I also don't want to take one of the worst teams in baseball in the Oakland A's. So for me, no choice but to take the under in this game. I don't really love either of these offenses in this matchup. I mean, Luis Medina, even though he's got that 3-7 record and a 5.79 ERA, he has looked a little bit better as of late. I mean, he's been pretty good at home this season at Oracle Park, and his last 2 starts, he's got a 3.09 ERA facing the same team twice, which we know is never easy. He's had 15 strikeouts his last 11 2/3 innings. I think he pitches pretty well in this game. Hunter Brown, this is a really good bounce-back spot for him. He's had a really, really tough schedule as of late. He's had to go to Coors Field. He's faced the Dodgers. He's faced a lot of tough lineups. Now he's facing one of the worst lineups in baseball. So give me the under here in Houston, Oakland. You can take the under in the first 5 as well. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Mitch Keller and Tyler Anderson are your starters. Now, because Keller's on the mound, we're getting a pretty good price with the other team in the Angels because Keller's had a pretty good season overall, but not really in the best of form recently. I mean, against the Cleveland Guardians, he goes 6 innings, 8 earned runs, 2 home runs, and 10 base hits. I mean, even in the All-Star game, he gave up a home run and only 1 inning of work. And before that, he pitched well against Arizona, but he had 5 walks and 7 innings, so he's really just been inconsistent. His control's been off, and the Angels have a pretty good lineup against right-handed pitchers, even without Mike Trout. Tyler Anderson, he's made some improvements in his game recently. He's facing a Pirates team that against lefties has not done much at all offensively as of late, and really pretty much overall this season. Anderson, like I mentioned, 12 1/3 innings in the month of July, a 2.92 ERA, 13 strikeouts, and only 1 home run allowed. Give me the Los Angeles Angels here on the money line in this one. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Seattle Mariners. Alek Manoah and Brian Wu are your starters. Both of these guys really struggled in their last outings. Alek Manoah was at Rogers Center. We knew he struggled so much at Rogers Center before he went down to the minor league. So, even though he pitched well against Detroit before that game, I didn't really love his chances. And he gave up 4 earned runs, 5 walks, and a home run, and only 3 innings in a San Diego 9-1 win. But now Manoah's back on the road. It could be a better spot for him. But this is a Mariners team that still, has pretty good numbers offensively, much better than Detroit in team OPS, isolated power against righties. The strikeout rate is high, but the walk rate's a little bit above league average. So I don't know if I love this spot for Alek Manoah. It's just really tough to read him right now. Brian Wu, even though he struggled his last start, that was against the Minnesota Twins team that's red hot offensively against right-handed pitching. Before that, Wu was pitching really well against teams like the Astros, the Giants, some winning teams. He was missing bats. Overall, he's got good expected numbers. His 4.74 ERA looks rough on paper. A lot of that was because of the last start and his first start in his major league career. Other than those 2 games, he's pitched really well for Seattle. I like his chances in this game. Give me the Seattle Mariners on the money line at home. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the New York Mets, the final game for Sunday's card in Major League Baseball. We're going to see Carlos Carrasco going for the Mets, no official starter for the Red Sox right now. I'm a little bit worried about the Mets in this game. Carlos Carrasco has just not been great this season. And when you've got a bullpen in the last 30 days, it's really bad expected numbers, xFIP, Sierra. You used a lot of it in the doubleheader, that semi-doubleheader on Saturday after the suspended game on Friday night. Carrasco hasn't been great. I just worry about your pitching staff. The Red Sox, I think, have the better lineup, the better bullpen, and, we'll have to see who the official starter is. But potentially the better starting pitcher as well. I'm going to take the Boston Red Sox here, even though the Mets really need this game. So do the Red Sox. Give me the Boston Red Sox on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Sunday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.